Don't end up like most people, okay? Be smart. A lot of people will skip the step of actually doing the research of finding the right nursing school for whatever reason. It's like, I guess the excitement of being like, okay, I finally made a decision. I'm ready to go to nursing school. I'm going to do this. I want to be a nurse. And it's just like they just go to whatever school they can get into. Don't do that, y'all. Don't make the mistake of doing that. And here's a couple of reasons why you don't want to make that a mistake. One, most nursing schools, depending on where you live, a lot of them are for-profit institutions, meaning that their main goal is to make money. So they're going to say and do whatever needs to be done in order to get you into that school. It's up to you to do the research to see if that school actually fits your needs and your goals. Next is that nursing school is expensive. I'm sure a good amount of us are going into debt to go to nursing school. So why not take the time to choose the right nursing school so that whatever money you got to pay back, you know you're paying it towards a quality education. Okay? Another reason being is you want to make sure that whatever school you're going to, that experience is something that is a pretty decent experience, because if you want to become a nurse, you got to go to nursing school, and you're probably going to be spending, depending on what you go for, LPN, RN, or BSN, you're going to be spending a year to 4 years at this school. So make sure that you take the time. I'm going to say it again. Take the time to do your research and find the best school that fits you. And I know it probably seems like I might be a little condescending or whatever, but I'm not. Take the time to do the research. I can't tell y'all how many, I've been on YouTube doing this whole nursing thing for a long time. I've been a nurse for, I don't know, since 2015. So almost 10 years. April would be 10 years. And plenty of people have told me, I went to this school and this didn't work out, so I had to go to this school, but I still owe that school and this and the third, and I'm still not a nurse. It's because they did not choose the right nursing school. Please take my advice in this video. Take my advice in this video. And if you have any more tips for anybody, put it in the comment section. Go ahead, like, comment, and subscribe. And y'all, my ears are burning. I tried to wear earrings. I don't know if it's because I'm getting older, but like my body cannot handle stuff anymore. Like my ears are burning. I'm just too sensitive. I guess the cancer in me, the cancer crab in me finally caught up, okay, to sensitivity. But anyhow, not the cancer in me, but the cancer of me being a cancer. I digress. Anyhow, here are some things to consider when you are deciding on a nursing school. First thing first, I already have part 1 of this video where I say choose what type of nurse you want to be. So of course, depending on what type of nurse you want to be, whether it be an RN, just an RN associate's degree nurse, or an LPN/LVN licensed practical nurse or licensed vocational nurse, or if you want to go and become a bachelor prepared nurse, so an RN with a bachelor's degree. Choose which route you want to go, okay? Based on that, you're going to choose a nursing school. Now, first things first, is this school accredited? You need to look at more than one school. I'm going to say it again. Look at more than one school. Is the school accredited? Contact your state board of nursing. And I believe on the website there's a way, because the state board of nursing website is not like straightforward, but there's a way to find out what schools are accredited, if they have like a like contingent accreditation, or if they're like, meaning like they're not all the way accredited, but they still have their doors open. You need to find out if this school is legit. So contact your state board of nursing, make a phone call, be like, hey, I'm looking into nursing schools. How do I find out if the school is accredited or not? They might be able to like, hey, what's the school name? They look it up for you, or they'll direct you to a link on their website. So start with that first, because why would you want to go somewhere if that degree from that school is not going to be valid? Okay, trust and believe. It's nursing schools out here that's just out here. I mean, look at Florida, right? Wasn't it like 4 nursing programs that was just giving out degrees to people, and during the pandemic, and people was just paying to get degrees, and it was faking like these people did NCLEX and that they were nurses, and they were out here practicing as nurses during the pandemic. That happened, okay? In schools, again, these schools are for profit. There's so much money in healthcare schools and trade schools. There's so much money because people are super excited to get into these programs, and they just want to do it because maybe they waited so long to do it, or they're just excited to get into the field, and for some reason they just skip over all their due diligence and they just go for these schools. Do your research. So number 1, is the school accredited? Contact the school board, the state board of nursing. Number 2, what is like the NCLEX pass rate? A lot of schools on their website, they will actually show what is their NCLEX pass rate, meaning their last class that came out last May. So we're in 2025. Whenever you're watching this, it's 2025 now. Their last class in 2024. How many people that graduated from that program, of those cohorts, right, of those people, how many of those individuals passed? Do they have an 80% pass rate, meaning only 80% of their class of students have passed NCLEX? Do they have a 90% pass rate? 90% of their cohorts pass NCLEX. So you need to look at what is the NCLEX pass rate. The higher the pass rate, the better the program, because that means that they're able to get people through their program. And then after that, these individuals are able to pass NCLEX. Because again, you need to pass the state board testing, which is NCLEX if you don't know. You have to pass that test in order to become a nurse. And there's plenty of people who have taken NCLEX, not once, not twice, not three, but I think the most I heard was like 5 or 6 times. It took them 5 or 6 times to pass NCLEX. Now that's not normal, and that might not be the school's, fault, but look at that pass rate. That'll give you a better idea of the quality of the school, okay? Next, again, I am not for-profit schools. I understand wherever you live, that might be your only choice. But the thing that I found with for-profit schools, like back in the day, for-profit schools were like Sanford Brown or ITT Tech. Or is it ITT Tech or IT Tech? ITT Tech, whatever, child. That school, they got closed down. Those type of schools, it's like they want to get you in because it's for money. They're trying to get you in. They don't care if you graduate or not. They want to be able to get that money off of you. It's times where they will bring in a whole class of students, and then halfway through the semester, the school closes down. Now you owe that school money. You're trying to figure out, okay, am I going to be able to, go to another school now? Like, what do? I still owe them money. Then you have to go through this whole thing of trying to show that, okay, the school was not legit, so I shouldn't have to pay these student loans. You got to go through all of that stuff to be able to not have to pay back student loans or get your money back if you paid out of pocket. Like, there's too much of a headache there. Research for-profit schools, I'm not really for them because in my opinion, and from what I've heard from a good number of people, they're not always there for the student. They're there for the money. Now, of course, it could be different in all different places. I just say be wary of these schools and do your research on them. Try to look up like Facebook groups in your area and see and talk to people about what nursing program they went to. If you know nurses, talk to them. What nursing program did you go to? What do you recommend? Do your research. Just talk to people, even in the comment section. Somebody might be in your area. Say, hey, I'm in such and such area. Anybody heard of this school? Things like that. But Facebook groups seem to do pretty well with that. But look at these schools. Make sure they accredited. I'm going to keep saying it because little small story. Before I became an RN, I was LPN at first. I was looking to get us an LPN, so RN bridge program. I applied for a school here in St. Louis. The school's like 100 years old. It was a well-known school in my area. I applied to get in. I didn't get in. Y'all, that same, within a month, the school was closing down. And you know why the school was closing down? It was, first off, it wasn't accredited, which I had an idea wasn't accredited. One, I contacted the State Board of Nursing. But also the school was not taking financial aid. They were like, we don't have financial aid at the moment, but we do have like a private loan service that we have for students, this and the third. But they weren't able to accept financial aid because they weren't accredited. So the state was not allowing them to offer financial aid because they weren't accredited. So that's the first thing. That's the first part. Am I giving too much skin or not enough? I feel like I can't tell. I can't tell. Y'all gonna get what y'all gonna get. So anyhow, the school wasn't accredited. A month later, the school was closing down. The school was closing down. So I'm glad I didn't get in. So things like that. Ask them about their financial aid. Ask them, do they have scholarships? Things like that to get an idea if this school is the right fit for you. And they're not going to tell you that their accreditation is contingent or that their accreditation is not 100%. They're not going to tell you that. They want you to get in the door. Okay. This is why programs like Chamberlain, certain other schools, especially specifically Chamberlain, like as soon as you even do any type of inquiry on their website, anything, they're like, hey, come in for a visit. They're calling you, they're texting you, literally texting you, they're emailing you, calling you over and over. Come for a visit, come for a visit, come for a visit. If you want to just call and be like, hey, I want to see how much your program is. Oh, you know what? Why don't you just come in for a visit? We can look at everything and give you a better idea. Because they want to get you into the door. They want to play on your emotions and not your logic. And they want to get you in and get you started signing paperwork and get you started taking classes. You can take classes next week. Classes start as early as such and such. Classes that they want to get you in. This is a huge red flag for some schools when it comes to whether or not it's a decent school. Now, I'm not saying that the school is not good, but the fact that they have to push people into the school like that and kind of rush you in, to me, that already feels like, okay, y'all doing too much. Y'all doing too much. Another thing to consider, and this is probably the biggest thing to consider, the cost. I know some people feel like, oh, well, when I get out of nursing school, I'm going to be able to pay for it, or I'm not worried about them student loans, or whatever, my job will pay for, whatever. That stuff comes back for you all. Like, student loans are no joke. You think you're going to pay it back, and unless you really have it in your mind that I'm going to pay off this student loan, I'm going to pay it off within a certain amount of time, I know I'm going to make this amount of money, I want to pay this off within the next 5 years, whatever, student loans can easily just run away from you. And before you know it, that $10,000 loan is now $20,000 loan. And then you're trying to get a house and you're trying to do this. And then now you got student loans and you sitting over here trying to fund your dang on kids' college and you still got student loans. So I ain't trying to get to that point. I want to pay all this shit off. But it happens, you all, because sometimes you thinking, okay, I'll just deal with it later. And then later comes and now you have to pay $600, $700, $1,000 a month towards a student loan. And now it's real, right? Now you're paying them back and you're like, dang, I got to pay this money back. So when you were first starting off, you're like, oh, $50,000 for my bachelor's. It's not a big deal. I can do that. And then when you graduate, it's just like that $50,000 is now 60, then it's 70, like, and then it just keeps piling. You paying on it for 10 years. And it's the needle still hasn't moved. Like, you still owe $50,000 on this dang on loan. You're like, where did it go? Like, I know I didn't pay towards it. Like, where did it go? It can definitely get away from you. So look at the cost and really think about what that number looks like for you. There's plenty of calculators out here where you can estimate how much it's going to cost for you to pay off that student loan based off a certain interest rate. And a certain amount of payments that you're putting towards it each month. You can get an idea of, okay, does this really fit me? Is this really okay for me? Just pause for a moment. Just pause for a moment and do your research on these schools. Okay, y'all, look at the cost. It might behoove you to first get your associate's degree as an RN, start working as an RN, maybe get your job to pay for that associate's degree, and then get your job to pay for your bachelor's degree. There's plenty of hospitals that will easily put $5,000 plus towards your bachelor's degree. And you might just say, hey, I'm going to go ahead and just get my bachelor's online and go through like WGU or Capella, something like that. Usually hospitals will have a partnership with these programs or with these schools so that it's even cheaper or there's some type of discounted rate for that program. You all don't have to go straight for your bachelor's degree, okay? You don't. And I talk about this in the first video when I talk about looking at what your plan is and being like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and get my associate's degree, do a few prereqs at a community college, and then go for my bachelor's. If I know I want to go straight for my bachelor's, maybe instead of me going in and going straight to that bachelor program school and doing all my prereqs at that school, maybe I'll talk to the school, tell them, hey, da-da-da, and then you go on over to that community college and you get those community college prereqs and transfer them over to that bachelor's program and save yourself thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, okay? Because I remember I was looking at one school, this was a minute ago, this was about 3 or 4 years ago. The A&P course was like $1,300 at one program, and then at the community college it was like $400. So you see how that it's a huge difference. You know, the nursing school is going to pay you nursing school rates or charge you nursing school rates, even if you're taking prereqs, versus you going to community college, doing those prereqs there, getting it for a lot cheaper, and then transferring into a nursing program. Just look at all your options. Really think about what your plan is going to be. And of course, plans always change. Things shift. I know this because, like I said, I went for my LPN degree and then I went back to get my RN associate's degree. So I've been in nursing school twice. I've been around the ringer and I've talked to a bunch of y'all about it. So I and have a good idea that, you know, your plans change in school. Sometimes the requirements change and all of that, which can be a headache. But look at your options and try to find out what's the cheapest option for you to make it affordable. Because like I said, who wants to pay back student loans? I mean, if you can get your job to pay for a lot of this, figure it out and have them take care of it. So another thing you all to consider talking about community colleges, don't feel like just because you go to a community college, like, oh, this is, I don't want to do this, I want to get right into a nursing program. You all, if you go somewhere and it's a nursing program, more than likely you're going to be having to do prereqs. You're not in the nursing program. You are doing prereqs to be able to get into the nursing program. So don't think, oh, I'm at Chamberlain, I'm in a nursing program, da 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 da. Yeah, kind of, sort of, but you still got to probably do like 1 to 2 years of prereqs. So why not do that at community college and then transfer yourself over? Don't get so hung up on, I don't want to go to a junior college, I don't want to go to community college, like I'm done with them, like I just want to go and be in a nursing program. Don't get so hung up on that. And also, these community college nursing programs, I went to one, okay, and paid $0 for my RN degree. So thank you, God. So I recommend them. They're way more affordable. I feel like the teachers, it's like they really want to be there. And you hear teachers say, like, I really want to be here. I've tried to work at other schools and this and the third, and the students just aren't as appreciative. They don't want it as much as you all want it. And, you know, that's that. But sometimes I'll be like, okay, y'all just happy to work with me. Anyway, it's a whole thing. But some other things went in my mind with that. But I feel like they feel like the students are more appreciative of their education in the community college versus like the more expensive schools where they're like, mom and dad is paying for their schooling and they barely care about it. But with you all, it's like you really want this, you know. But yes, the teachers I feel like are more, they help you more in the community college. There's so many more resources. I went to community college for my RN degree, and they paid for my kids to go to daycare while I was in school. My kids were in daycare 2 days out the week. I didn't have to pay for that, you know. And if there was an overage, I just paid a few $100s a week towards it. Not even that. Like, it wasn't even a few hundred. It was like maybe, I think, like, we ended up having to pay like $100 a month towards it. It really wasn't that much money for both of my kids. And they were younger. They were like 3 and 4 at the time. My babies. Okay, anyways, they were a lot younger at the time. So, and they were helping to pay for it. And there's so many different programs with the community college, grants and things like that. I had a grant as an LPN at the community college that paid for our books. And it paid for ATI, which is like something you have to get. A lot of nurses, they try to come up with something like ATI because they got a monopoly over these nursing programs, which is basically just NCLEX preparatory course or program that a lot of nursing schools across the U.S. have, and you have to get it each semester. So it helped pay for that too. So there's so many resources with those community colleges, and they are there for the community. So don't think that, oh, I don't want to go to community college just because it's a community college. And how many times have I said community college? But I don't know. But don't be snobby. Like I said, do your research. Do your research, because at the end of the day, you want the nursing degree. And you're going to be at that school for a long amount of time. So talk to nurses in your area. Talk to people in the healthcare field. Like, get an idea of what certain schools are all about. Because here, I got one school here in St. Louis that got a bad rep. And I know people that have went there and they're like, I love it. It's cool, you know. But I've heard people say horror stories from schools here in St. Louis, for-profit schools, where you go in for the nursing program. You may not be able to do too well in the nursing program. And instead of them doing the work to help you to get through it, they say, oh, you know what? Instead of doing our LPN program, why don't you become a respiratory therapist? Because they want to keep you in the sector of their school and keep your money there. So now, not only are you not a nurse, which is what you came there to do, but now they just shifted you to respiratory therapy, which you didn't come there for that. And you still got to pay for whatever part of the nursing program you took, and now you still got to pay for the whole respiratory therapy program. So it's just like, okay, come on now. So it is what it is. They're going to try to find a way to keep you in their school, and I don't think that always the focus is into actually helping you to become a nurse. It's my opinion. That's just what I've heard. That's what I've seen. Also, the cost for these for-profit programs are astronomical. I think for my LPN program, it was still a decent amount. It was $17,000. And then I was looking at a for-profit school here, and it was like $29,000, $30,000 to become an LPN. $30,000, like twice the amount, right? Basically. And it's just like for $30,000, you could probably become an RN associate and then bridge over to a BSN for that same price, if not cheaper, depending on how you work it, depending on how you finesse it. But yeah, community colleges are usually always cheaper. Something else to consider is, will these credits transfer? So again, for-profit schools, typically they want you to do everything at that school, the prereqs at that school, as well as a nursing program, because their credits, they don't transfer to other places. I went to an LPN program at a trade school here in St. Louis, Applied Tech. Those credits did not transfer for me to become an RN. So the A&P that I took at that class, the human growth and development that I took at that class, I had to retake those courses in order for me to get my RN degree. Now, granted, it was only 2 courses I had to retake, A&P and human growth and development. But still, it's 2 classes that I had to pay for basically twice. Once at the LPN program and once again at the community college to get into my RN program. So you need to look, will those credits from that school transfer to another institution? Because say you do start somewhere at a school, you're in there maybe a semester, even 2 semesters in, and something happens, you don't like it there, things don't work out, and you want to go somewhere else. Can you take those credits somewhere else? Or will you have to start all the way over, pay for the school that you're going to next, and still turn around and have to pay for that school you just came from? And all the work that you did there doesn't matter because it won't go anywhere else. It won't transfer anywhere else. So you need to make sure that the credits from whatever school you're going to will transfer to another school. Especially because in nursing, we have tiers. You can start off as an LPN, bridge to an RN associate, then bridge to a BSN program, then bridge to a master's program. You can bridge into, not bridge, but you can go up the clinical ladder, right? You can go up these ladders in nursing, which is so great. But if the school that you just came from, those credits don't go to the next school, you're spending so much time and money and energy, okay? Energy that's not going nowhere. You can't use those credits nowhere else. So it's like, you got to start all over again and pay the money again. So go to the school and ask them, will these credits transfer? You need to ask them when you're doing, talking to people, going on these info sessions that certain schools have. Ask them, will your credits transfer to another institution? Ask them. Again, look at accreditation and will the credits transfer? Something else to consider. If you live in a state that kind of borders another state, look at that other state's programs. I've seen plenty of people. I live in Missouri, St. Louis. Illinois is like 20 minutes from where I live. So I've had plenty of Illinois people come over to Missouri to either work here as a nurse or go to nursing school here. And it's because the classes may be cheaper here, as well as there's more nursing programs in this area. Or they apply for schools in Illinois and they apply for schools in Missouri and they just went to wherever they can get into, right? So if you live next to a bordering state, try to look at those options in another part of, in a different state. It might behoove you to do it, especially if the state that's next to you is a compact state and you're not a compact state. So for instance, Illinois is not a compact state, meaning there's this whole thing. If you don't know what that means, in order to get your nursing, with your nursing license, there's some states where if I have my nursing license here in Missouri, it's a compact state, meaning I can go to like 29 other, I think it's more than that, 29 plus different states, and I can work as a nurse without having to reapply for a nursing degree, because it's part of this whole agreement they have that if you got a Missouri license, you can go to, where can you work? I don't even know what's other compact states. Maybe Arkansas, I think, is a compact state to us. I don't know. I have to put it up here somewhere. But you can go to these other states and not have to reapply, versus Illinois. If you get an Illinois license, anytime you go anywhere else, you got to go ahead and get a nursing license, because Illinois is not a compact state. So if you live in Illinois and you want to come to school in Missouri, you might say, hey, I want to go ahead and get my Missouri license, apply for your NCLEX, do your NCLEX here in Missouri. And then that way you have a compact license just in case you want to travel to different places and work in different places outside of your area. And then you can still turn around and get your Illinois license. So you can have your Illinois license and you can have a compact state license. So keep that in mind. So it's like on the back burner to think about. But yeah, look at different areas, and also don't be afraid to kind of go out your comfort zone. Don't just look at schools that's like, you know, a few 20 minutes, 30 minutes from you. Look at schools that might be an hour away. Now, that might not be the best thing for everybody. That might not fit everyone, but for some people it makes sense. Like for me, I was actually looking at a school here in Jefferson, Missouri, Jefferson College, because it was super cheap. I think their RN program was like $5,000, y'all. They had a weekend program where you only have to go on the weekends. Clinicals was like once a week. You know, it was like super chill. And I was like, I could do that for $5,000. But it was like 45 minutes to an hour away from my house. And I was like, sure, I could do that. I can make it work for $5,000. Because I'm like, I could just pay that out of pocket. But everything worked out for me to be able to go to my community college in my area and not have to pay anything out of pocket. So it worked out. But don't be afraid to kind of branch out to different areas a little bit further out. Of course, you have to keep in mind that commute time, the weather, if it's snowing and things like that, it might stop you from being able to go to school, or, you know, emergencies happen in your life. You might not want to be an hour away from your family or an hour away from your kids. If you have that type of situation, you might not want to do that. But it might actually be a really good option for you all. So kind of branch out to look at different schools. Another thing to consider. I think I gave you everything. The costs. Consider going to another state. Let's do a little recap. So, number one is, of course, look at the program that you want to go to, LPN, RN, or BSN, and kind of just look, okay, if I go to this school, then I'm going to go to this school. It just give yourself a better idea of like, okay, what's my plan? What does my plan look like? Because for me, before I even finished my LPN program, I had a stack of different programs I was looking at for RN and BSN, trying to plan out my next moves. So do that, you know, look and see, does this school fit this school? Will this fit to the next school? Will these credits transfer to the next school? Well, does it make sense? Try to think a few steps ahead before you make that first step. That way, you're not scrambling to get things done, or you're not being blindsided by certain things because you didn't consider, you know, things like do credits transfer, right? So look at your plan. Do you want to do LPN, RN, or BSN? And based off of that, you can kind of make a plan of what school you want to go to. Make sure the school is accredited. Contact your state board of nursing. They're so friendly. Like, they help you. They will help you. Next is consider another state, or go a little bit further, a different city, a different county in your area. Pay attention to the cost of school, especially if you know you want to go further, right? You know, if you already paid $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 towards a bachelor's program, and you know you want to become a nurse practitioner, how much more money are you going to have to pay for that nurse practitioner? Are you going to pay $100,000+ just to become, like, think about all these things, you know, just to get an education. Is it really worth it? Is it really worth it? I don't know. You tell me. But think about your long-term plans as far as the cost, okay? Also, think about the length of the program. I forgot about this. Think about the length of the program. Some programs are 12 months. Some programs could be 18 months. Some programs could be 2 years. Some programs could be 4 years. So those are things to consider as far as whether or not you want to do LPN, RN, or BSN. Because some people are like, I just want to get in and be done with it. So you look for a BSN program. Okay, I'm looking at BSN programs. What's the best way for me to get through this BSN program in the most cost-effective way and the quickest way possible? And then work from there. Okay? Also, something to consider is, will these credits transfer? That's a big thing. Will my credits transfer? Also, look at the NCLEX pass rate of that school. 90 and above is what you need. You don't want it to be where 20% of their students don't pass, because you can be part of that 20%. It's a reason why they're not able to pass students, especially if you see a program has had maybe 94%, 96%, then it just drops down to like 83%. You're like, hold on, what has happened? Because they'll usually have years. They'll show you each year for like the past 5 years of what their NCLEX pass rate is. And if you see it drop, you got to question, okay, what has happened? Did they lose accreditation? What was going on with this school that has been such a drastic drop in their NCLEX pass rate? Because again, these schools want money. So they're not going to tell you if it's an issue with that. So they're not going to tell you. You're going to have to figure it out. So what's the next thing? I always say be leery of for-profit schools, but sometimes it's your only option. And sometimes it might be a great option. I don't know. I just wouldn't do it. Next is, I'm not going to lie. I did look at Chamberlain for their BSN, but I was like, I'm not paying that much for the RN to BSN. I'm like, I'm not paying for that. I'd rather go to a state college and do it. I'm not paying all that money. I'm just not. I don't care about the name of the school. I don't care about how cute it look, how up to date instead of the art. I don't care about none of that. I want to get this degree, pass my NCLEX, and start working for somebody at the lowest price I can. So that's just my opinion. Also, don't be ashamed to go to community colleges. Like, even if you have to go there just for prereqs, do not be ashamed to do it. They are a great resource for the community, and it's so cost effective. So those are my tips on choosing the right nursing program. I just threw my phone on the ground. Don't skip this step, y'all. Don't skip this step. Sit down, look at a few different schools. Look at what are the prereqs for these schools, you know. Is it going to take me a year, 2 years to finish prereqs in order for me to get into this program, you know? Or can I do all my prereqs and hopefully I'll be able to apply to more than one school? Ain't nothing wrong with doing that, applying to more than one school. Also, something when you're looking at schools is to see if you already work at a hospital. See if your organization has something called corporate partnerships, where this college is partnered up with this hospital. Some hospitals have corporate partnerships with different schools in order for you to get a discount, you know, if you work for that hospital, right? So look into that. That's a big thing to look into and to keep in mind, because you can be saving a whole bunch of money by doing that. And sometimes, depending on where, like my hospital, they will give you, they'll waive the application fee for a lot of the schools that I was looking at. They'll waive the application fee, which could be like $50, $60+. So they'll waive it just because you work at the hospital. So look into that as well. I hope this video was helpful. I love all of y'all. Thank you so much for watching. Watch part 1, and then I'll do a few more parts after this. My throat is parched. I'm thoroughly need to work on my throat chakra right now. I love you all. Thanks again for watching. Peace.